Hello, I'm Doug, and this is the Taste and Sensibility channel, and we are at Mild Melty Cheese episode 29, where we're looking at this Italian cheese called Castelrosso from cows in Italy. I had to go to a cheese shop to find this, and it is listed in Liz Thorpe's wonderful book, The Book of Cheese, where she describes in her Havarti Gateway chapter all these kinds of cheeses that we're talking about here, with milder flavors for the most part and very melty textures for the most part. And there is a picture of Castelrosso. So it's got a gray ash or gray mold or something gray, and it's got a nice imprint or some design in the top of it. So it's very fancy cheese. She says the traditional cheese of northwest Italy's Piedmont is Castelmagno, a hulking drum of semi-skimmed cow or sheep milk and goat milk. So the Rosso family has been making it since 1894, and they use a certain kind of cow, and they never make a blue cheese out of it. So it's always cow milk, and so she says it's chronically underappreciated. And her shorthand notes are aroma of lobster butter, sweet, melted with a whiff of lemon. Texture lacy and fragile, flaky and fine. Flavor mushroom butter. One of the great unsung cheeses, in short. So she is saying it's one of those mushroom or earthier type cheeses because of the rind. So it seems like a very much of a tomme-style cheese. And, oh, what's this? Someone has been sampling this cheese. Oh look, it's crumbly and falling apart. Okay, oh yes, I get a whiff of mushroomy things. That texture is crumbly. Let me make this smaller. There. Okay, so yes, it's got that thing at the top where the design is, and then it's got a lot of characteristics of a brie or the Tom Crayeuse that we just had in the last episode, where you can see kind of a cream line along the rind part, and then it's cakier and drier and chunkier, cakier in the middle. So I think this will be a good one to try. But before we dive in, let's remember to like the video, leave comments and questions below, share it with friends, subscribe to the channel, and click on that bell to get notified when the new ones come out. So I think we're ready. Let me just take a piece that's already fallen off and give it a little smell and taste. I get slightly lactic, sour type notes on the aroma. Maybe a bit of dairy. Maybe I could figure out as a cheese. Ooh, dry. Not very dense. It's light and airy, but very low moisture. I'm going to try to cut slices and pieces, but I think it's a high probability they'll all fall apart. Oh wow, look at the influence of the rind on the interior cheese. It's changing the color, and the mold and other things go way in. So that's kind of different. We haven't seen that sort of thing before to this extent. But what do I want to do? Let's take a piece of rye bread, put a piece of cheese on, and see if it goes with anything. There's a tartness to it. Definitely get lemony type notes from the cheese, from the lactic qualities. But this dry cheese on this dry rye bread was not such a great thing in my mouth. Taste is fine. It's its texture and dryness. Ooh, distinct lack of moisture. So I'll try another piece on a cracker. the fully hydrated mouth. Now, if you were serving it on a cheese board with crackers and lots of beverages around, you could get by with this, but it's drier than the average cheese we've been looking at here. Let me try very. I'm going to explore that lemon flavor a little more carefully. It's a good bit of saltiness, but I mean, the lack of moisture hinders the apprehension by your taste buds, and textures and things in the cheese are not apparent right away. So I'm going to get rid of the rind to a great extent. Yeah, it's certainly not the influence. So let me try that on a piece of flatbread. Okay, so the cheese is incessantly dry. Very noticeable lack of moisture, and the rind end carried some very earthy notes. So the earthiness is strong with this one. So it's got a nice light texture. It's fluffy, cakey. Think of some kind of styrofoam or some very dry, powdery material with good flavors. I was just I'm trying to figure out what it might go with. Let me make the piece smaller and put it with this multi-grain cracker. So the flavors are wonderful. It's the lack of moisture that's making it difficult. It goes with most things. So it seems to go with most things, but all the cracker cheese combinations have been like a biting into a desert. So I've got some moisture things over here on my pairing plate that I'll go ahead and start trying. You get a fresh tomato on this little piece of Castelrosso. Good combination. Sweetness. Didn't notice the tartness in the tomato because the cheese has its own tartness, but the juicy moisture of the tomato really helped the whole combination to be a lot more attractive and presentable. So next thing I'll do is try some fresh blueberries. I have here, and I don't know how to get them together or make them stick to each other, but I'll just throw them in my mouth. Okay, so the blueberries have enough juice and flavors to stand up and help and complement the cheese. Yes, there was enough moisture in the combination, and the contrast of the flavors and textures was very good and attractive. So we could say that one worked. And I'm going to look at, look at's the wrong word. I'm going to put some sun-dried tomatoes that are chopped up in tiny bits into a piece of the cheese. So Castelrosso, and sun-dried tomatoes. Dry texture, but the tomatoes brought a tanginess. It's quite distinct from the tanginess in the cheese, and a different kind of earthiness. So those are good. Those sun-dried tomatoes tend to go with most things I've tried pairing them with. And I guess one of the last solid foods might be almond, and I don't know. I should do 2 or 1. We're in trouble if the moisture is coming from the almonds. Here we go. Good combination for flavors, but again, low moisture. Both things are salted. Plenty. Okay, let's rinse that out. So the last thing I'm going to try is with this wine here, which is a Pinot Noir. And this is Estancia from Monterey County in California. So I'll just do wine, cheese, wine. I have several pieces here that I'll work. So the wine is nice and fruity. It's not very tanniny and not very acidic. So it's mostly light and fresh for a red. And a piece of cheese. Earthy, 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 and maybe a little bit more moisture close to the rind. But good notes overall, good flavors. This might be the most successful pairing because it's liquid. It's something you need here. So this piece has plenty of rind influence. It's cut right next to the rind and then lots of incursions. So lots of molded earthy things in here. Fairly salty. And it's a good complement to the cheese. This wine is fresh, fruity, I don't know, raspberry, blueberry, blackberry type notes. Low tannin, low acidity. It's just a nice wine, and I'd say it goes pretty well with the cheese. There's earthiness, there's not a lot of dairy notes, and they just get along together. I'm not sure if it's more complements or more contrasts. Probably contrast. And then, as I said, the moisture here helps a lot. So I'm afraid to try to melt this stuff because of what happened with the Crayeuse in episode 28. Totally lost all the characteristics. And this is a similar kind of cheese with a cakey center. So I'm not too inclined to melt anything here. So that might do it for this episode. So Castelrosso is an interesting cheese, but be prepared for low moisture or make provisions for all that. So only 2 more episodes to go in the mild melty cheeses series. So come back for those, and cheers.